Faith Liyena is a Zambian, and she is an outstanding Zambian at that. A lot of you know that I do a lot of our work in Zambia, and I find out with great interest here and there are people doing terrific things that I didn't even know about. Well, Faith is one of them. She has organized and put together a terrific ministry to orphans. It's called Faith's Orphans Fund, and she's here to tell us about it. Welcome, Faith.
Thank you very much.
You look terrific, by the way.
Thank you so much.
You look lovely. You're not jet-lagged or feeling culture shocked being here in Canada?
I'm fine.
You're fine? That's a very good answer. You're fine.
Yes.
But Faith, let's get right to it. You're caring for almost 4,000 orphans right now.
Yes.
This is phenomenal. How did this all begin?
I'm a trained nurse, and when I was training as a nurse in 1989 at Mukinge Mission Hospital, I would see people die from HIV/AIDS on the wards. This month the mother would die, the following month the father would die, or a few years later the other spouse would die. And my concern was looking after these children. I would go in the village, just to go and check up on what was happening. And most of the children had stopped school. Most of the children were malnourished. They don't have proper diet. Most of the children, their clothes were in tatters, and that started to make me feel very sad because I've always wanted to help children. And each time I went back, shared the story with my parents being Baptist pastors, they would pray for me. I go back to the center, I go back to the hospital, children were still suffering. So in 1993, I told my parents to say we needed to do something, but I didn't know what. All I knew is I needed to help the orphans. And after a lot of consultation and prayer, we were led to leave the children where they are and help them. And one of the things that we've told to the children each time that we've met them is, we'll take you to school.
And that, of course, is the magic word, school, right? I mean,
Yes.
Here in Canada, it's sometimes hard to motivate kids to study, but not in Zambia
Not
or any
in
other
Zambia.
part of Africa. Kids realize that this is the critical player in terms of them getting out of the cycle of poverty they're caught in, right?
Yes, yes.
So you started what? Did you leave the hospital? How did you get going? How did you get this thing started?
Yeah, when I just started, we didn't have any funds to do the project. So I was working as a nurse and then helping very few children. And then the word started going, telling others, we would help 10 children here, and then they would tell their friends to say, Faith is helping children, go and register with her. And at that point, that's when now we started looking for support, because as a family, we couldn't manage to help the children, the number of children, because nearly everyone wanted school and they would come to me, and I didn't want to send them off because I knew that I really needed to help them.
So you looked for funding. Where did you look?
First, we looked to God.
Which is always a good place
prayed,
to start.
Yes, yeah. And then we wrote letters to friends. My dad, had, being a pastor, he had friends. We wrote to them and just asked them. The initial letter we wrote was to ask for advice. And then when the ministry started growing, then when we started asking for funds, like help us to send these children to school. Now,
did local churches help you?
The local churches, they helped us by praying and just saying, oh, this is a good thing. But,
right.
Our economy in Zambia is not very good. Yeah, so they didn't help financially.
Are they helping today?
They are not helping today.
see, and I'm asking this question specifically because, as you know, I work with churches in Zambia, and I discovered 10 years ago that African churches were not really getting into the action. They were not, seemingly, they seemed unconcerned about orphans and widows. And I thought, well, this is not very church-like, let alone Christian.
No.
And so, I'm pleased to tell you, a Zambian, that just a bit south of where you are, in the Kabwe area, there's a whole bunch of churches. We had about 180 churches at a conference a few months ago in Kabwe, all of whom now are actively involved in helping orphans and widows. So things are turning around.
Oh, praise God.
The word needs to get up to you, though, where you are.
Yeah.
But it's called Faith's Orphans Fund. At what point did you kind of organize and make this into a non-government organization?
In 1993, actually, I was very serious. After much prayers, I told my parents we wanted to do it the right way. So we went and registered with the government of Zambia in 1993 as Faith orphanage foundation, because initially I was thinking I was going to build this big house and then bring children and stay with me. But after consulting people, it's nice. I've seen a lot of benefits in letting the children stay with their grandmothers, with their aunties, and whoever is ready to keep
Absolutely,
them.
because they're in their own context there. It's a real world, not an artificial world that they're living in. 35, over 3,500 orphans. This is a phenomenal story that started basically with one person, that's you, concerned about one or two little kids. As it's grown, you've obviously had to hire people, right, to work with you, to help you?
Yes, yes. Actually, we depend a lot on volunteers. We are working in 16 different communities, and these are rural communities in Zambia. And we have people coming on board like pastors, deacons, teachers. We depend a lot on teachers. They come on board and they work with us as volunteers. So in 16 centers, we are working with 64 who are volunteers, and it's a mix of pastors, deacons, farmers, teachers. Whoever is ready to work with us, we bring them on board. And twice a year, we give them seminars for 1 week, leadership training, and we do a lot of developmental courses for them. We teach them on HIV/AIDS so that when they go back in the villages, they'll be able even to influence the community where they are coming from.
Faith, tell me what it's like to be an orphan in Zambia. And you know so many of them, you're helping so many of them. Give me a kind of just an overview of what an orphan's life is like.